I had successfully gathered all the netherwort I needed, but now I was faced with a new predicament. In my journey to get to the nether fortress, I used nearly all of my resources, and I didn't think I would be able to survive the journey back. So, I needed another way to get back. And there was only one thing that I thought would work. What if I made a nether portal? What would happen? Would I be teleported back to spawn? Would I be killed? Would I be slowly pulled back to the world border? Or would I be able to literally just leave the world border and mess around? I didn't know. But I decided it was worthwhile to try an experiment. So I put all my stuff inside of a shulker box and put that shulker box in my ender chest. I made another portal, and I went through it. And what happened was quite shocking. When I appeared in the overworld, I found myself at spawn, right outside walls I had once constructed. I was confused, but that didn't matter. I needed to get to an ender chest. But there was something really weird and wrong about what was going on here. No matter how far I walked in any direction, additional chunks would not load. If I broke a block, it broke, but it didn't drop anything. And when I tried dropping items, they just stayed there. I wasn't able to pick them up. It was so weird, and I figured I had been put into a limbo state. I decided to log back out and try logging back in. And when I did, I was back on the other side of the nether portal. I was extremely confused. I tried going back in again, and was put back into the same exact state as before. I was so confused, but it didn't matter at this point. I knew that the nether portal method wouldn't work, so I logged back out and came back in. I decided that it was clear there was only one way to get back, and I would have to risk walking. So I did. And surprisingly, I actually was able to make it back safe and sound with the nether wart. This was a huge success for me, as I was finally able to brew potions after so long of not being able to brew them. And for a while, that's all I thought about the encounter with this weird glitch. And after that, nothing happened for quite a while. Until one day, there was a battle. People had died. Who owned what effects was put into question. You see, on this SMP, there are a couple different things that are restricted behind certain effects that only one person can hold. There's the soul effect, which lets you wield netherite weapons and sharpness 5. The forge effect, which lets you wield netherite armor. The basic mace effect, and the density mace effect. And there had been a battle. And after a lot of arguing, the owner finally decided to just randomly rotate the effects around. And by some strange, probably prank, but to me it was like a miracle, the soul effect was given into my hands. It was the first time I had ever held an effect. I had refused the opportunity to hold the density effect at the start of Season 3, because I did not want to break trust with my teammate Ray. But there was no time to celebrate, because I was in trouble. I was given the effects at one of the most inopportune moments that could possibly have happened. I was currently without food in the middle of the nether. I was surrounded by hoglins and piglins, and the odds of me surviving were looking worse and worse. And now, to top everything off, I had the soul effect. And this is not good, because if I died, and there was another player online, the soul effect would go to them. I could not let this happen. And at first, I was just gonna log off. But after taking a breather, I decided that I wasn't going to log off. I was going to make it back to my team's base. I didn't care how hard it was going to be. I was going to find a way. So I got back up, and I started moving. Slowly but surely, I crossed the treacherous terrain. And somehow, I managed to make it back to the team base without dying. This was a great victory. And for a while, I was in possession of the soul effect. But I didn't really do anything with it. I didn't really want to use its power. But then, one day, I decided to live stream for fun. And it was during this live stream that something made me snap. While I was streaming, the same member of my team who had betrayed me and left me to die messaged me on Discord, and he proceeded to ask me if I was sane. And the language he used made me kind of worried. Because at this point, I was getting kind of depressed. I felt like I wasn't needed on my team anymore. And Xeon countered this by saying that I had the soul effects and that I was needed. And the way he said this doesn't look too worrisome on the surface to some people. But this made me think about it. And I realized that it was possible he doesn't care about me. He just wants the soul effect to remain in my team's hands. And this made me realize something. They were going to come for me. Having the soul effect in my hands was practically like keeping a super weapon in your basement. Except not in a cool way, like in a boring way, like not using the super weapon at all. And it made me realize that they were going to come for it. They weren't going to just let me have it. And while that wasn't too much of a problem for me, I didn't even really want it. I was now worried that my teammates were going to betray me. And what would I gain out of giving up this effect? After all, it was given to me. I wanted to use it in a way that would be beneficial. And if I just gave it up, I wouldn't get anything out of it. And finally, I decided to make one of the most critical decisions on the server that I would ever make. I decided enough was enough. I was tired of my old team. It was time to finally do what I had been planning to do for a while now. It was time to betray my team. So, after ending the stream, I went back to my team base. And I took everything. Everything that I thought would be even remotely valuable, I took. I took the workstations, the pumpkins, anything and everything that I could move that would still be useful to me, I took. I even took the entire enchanting setup. And I left. I transported all of it to a new base that I had constructed. You see, I had been asking around, and I had found out something that was crucial. I was allowed to use respawn anchors. It had been confirmed by the owner himself, and with that green light, I decided to move bases. My overworld base in the clouds had already been discovered a while ago, so it wasn't safe to just raid my team base and then go and stash everything there. If they came there looking for me, if they suspected me and looked there, they would know it was me. But if I made a new base, I might have a chance. So that's what I did. I moved into the Nether, built an obsidian bunker under the lava, in a place where I thought it would be most beneficial, outside of the world border, in the overworld, where very few people ever went in the Nether, because why would you go there? You can't use it for transportation. The only reason to go outside is to gather loot, or if you have a base out there, to go there. Or just for fun, you know, but let's be honest, no one does this for fun. Like, what? That's crazy. Why would we play a video game for fun? That's ridiculous. Anyways, moving on. So I knew that this would probably be a perfect place for a base. So I built an obsidian bunker, and I moved every last item into there. I covered the walls in chests, filled to the brim with loot. There would be no problem this time stacking myself up if I died from a fight. And with that, I just created one of the most stacked vaults, possibly the most stacked vault in the entire server. And I definitely would not be needing to go gather more loot for a long time. But I wasn't satisfied. What if my teammates figured out I had done this? I had to be prepared. So I dug tunnels, multiple escape tunnels, spanning hundreds of blocks, with traps built into them, just in case my allies, my teammates, came after me. Now, all I had to do was wait. I came up with a plan. I would use their anger and redirect it towards an opposing individual. By doing this, I would hopefully be able to use my own teammates, or rather now, my old teammates, as my pawns, directing them like attack dogs towards people I wanted dead. And while I would have no allegiance to them, they would have no idea I had betrayed them. After all, I had gained a reputation on the server for being harmless, easy to kill, and weak. So no one would ever expect that I would betray my team like this. And so now, I just waited for them to notice. I waited 1 week, and nothing. And I was so confused. But I decided maybe they just had a bad week and they didn't log on. So I waited another week, and nothing happened. It was at this moment that I realized my teammates weren't even always active on the weekends. In fact, it was worse than that. They were not consistently active even on the weekends. I had thought this whole time that my teammates were being mostly active on the weekends, while I was mostly active during weekdays, and thus I had assumed that my teammates and I just didn't see each other as often. It still disturbed me that they were so inactive compared to me, but I had no idea that it was this bad. And this was the point that I decided I had made the right decision. My teammates were unreliable, and their only use to me at this point was to use them as chess pieces. The only person that I still cared about at this point on my team was Ray, because Ray had trusted me. Ray was my friend, and I regretted betraying him. but he didn't even know I had betrayed him. So perhaps there was still some way to work things out. Maybe I could explain my point of view to him. Perhaps he would be willing to join me. But it didn't matter. Not that much anyways. It was just a personal preference. I couldn't allow things like emotions to cloud my mind anymore. But now I needed to do something with my effects. And I thought up an idea. In Season 2, I had been enslaved using contracts. So what if I used the effect to make deals using contracts? What if I gave someone the effect in exchange for them signing a contract that would give me permanent control over them for the rest of the season? And since I was known as one of the most innocent individuals on the SMP, who would ever suspect me of treachery? After all, my entire team still had no idea I had betrayed them. So, I decided to make a deal. But who would I make the deal with? I wasn't quite sure. There were several people I wanted on my team. Several useful individuals. For one, I wanted Ray on my team because he was my friend and he was, without doubt, the most competent member of our team. So I wanted him on this new team I was gathering. There was also Lava. Not only was he the owner, but he was also, from my knowledge, a pretty decent PvPer and a pretty decent guy overall. So I wanted him in our fold. And then I settled on one person in particular. King Colton, the most skilled PvPer on the SMP currently. And what was even better was that we were on speaking terms. And on top of this, he had no effect. So I reached out to him. I openly made a move against my teammates one day at an event, telling Colton the code word for if my team was going to jump him, and he survived. So now, I told him to make his way to certain coordinates. He would find a book buried, and if he signed this book, I would give him the effect. He found the book and signed it, and it gave him my effects. And what was even greater about this was that this was a perfectly believable event. I was quite well known at this point for dying, so no one would be surprised that Colton had decided to kill me to take the effects. Even though we were on speaking terms, it was at this point a practical running joke for him to TNT minecart me for fun. So it was quite believable that he would kill me. And now, I had the most powerful person on the SMP, other than perhaps Ray, in my pocket. This was a great start, but it wasn't enough. I wanted to conquer the SMP again, but this time, my team would be forced to serve me. They wouldn't serve by choice, and they would be far more powerful than my old team. I wanted people to know that I was the leader. The real leader, not some figurehead. I would get respect. This was how I would do things. But in order to do it, I needed more effects and more people. So I developed a plan. My plan was to go through every effect one by one, killing the effect holders. And my next person to kill was Eclipse.